Good morning, student. Today we are going to discuss our 10th unit, training and sports. Training, it is a process of preparing an individual for any event. Training, it is usually a long-term process in which we give the training in a systematic and scientific way by which the performance can be improved. Physical fitness. Physical fitness, it is a ability of a person to do his day-to-day activity without any fatigue, and after doing his daily routine work he has more energy to do the work, and the person who is physically fit, his recovery is quick. Physical fitness, it's have four components: strength, speed, endurance, flexibility, and coordinative ability. This five components of physical fitness are directly or indirectly interrelated with each others. Let's discuss one by one. First, strength and its training methods. What is strength and how we can develop our strength? Strength, it is the ability of muscle to overcome resistance, or it is the ability of a person to overcome resistance. Strength means the amount of force a muscle can exert against a resistance. Strength, it is of two types: static strength and dynamic strength. Static strength means ability to overcome a resistance from a single position. There is no movement. The person has to overcome the resistance from a single position, from a one position. For example, pushing a wall. When you push the wall, you use the force, but there is no movement. It is also known as isometric strength. Static strength is also known as isometric strength. There is no movement. Iso means same, metric means length. So in isometric means same length. The length of the muscle remain the same. Dynamic strength. Dynamic strength means the ability to overcome the resistance while in motion. You have to overcome the resistance under the condition of movement. Dynamic strength, it is of three types: maximal strength, explosive strength, and strength endurance. Maximum strength, it is the ability to act against maximum resistance, means the greatest force that is possible to overcome the resistance. For example, weightlifting. You have to overcome maximum resistance, and it is measured through attempt, powerlifting, etc. Explosive strength. Explosive strength, it is a combination of two words: strength and speed. So explosive strength means the person has to overcome the resistance with high speed. For example, jumping activity, he has to overcome the resistance with high speed. And explosive strength, it can be measured by dynamometers or by jumping activity. Strength endurance. Strength endurance, it is a combination of strength and endurance. In strength endurance, the person has to overcome the resistance under the condition of fatigue. The person is in a fatigue condition, then also he has to overcome the resistance. For example, long distance running, swimming, road cycling, etc. These are the strength endurance. The person has to strength endurance means ability to overcome the resistance under the condition of fatigue. Now, training methods for strength development. How you can develop strength. There are three methods to develop strength: isometric exercise, isotonic exercise, and isokinetic exercise. Isometric exercise. This exercise is introduced by Hittingers and Mullers in 1953. Isometric, it is a combination of two words, iso and metric. Iso means same and metric means length. So in isometric exercise, the length of the muscles remain the same during the workout. There is no movement in the length of the muscle. The length of the muscles remain the same. Therefore, there is no visible movement and the work done is zero. Because the length of the muscle remain the same, you are using the force, but the length of the muscle remain the same. So in this, there is no visible movement. Therefore, the work done is zero. For example, pushing the wall, you are using the force to overcome the resistance, but there is no movement. There is no visible movement. What are the advantages of isometric exercise? The first advantage is this isometric exercise, it can be performed anywhere, because anywhere and no helper is required to do isometric exercise. Isometric exercise, less equipment is required, as in isometric exercise immovable objects are used and less time is required to perform. This isometric exercise help to develop static strength, maximum strength, etc. And this isometric exercise, it can be performed by the injured player also in the under the care and precaution. Disadvantage of isometric exercise. The first disadvantage is this isometric exercise only develop the static strength, but in most game dynamic strength is required, and this isometric exercise, it only develop the static strength. Isometric exercise, as more pressure is used, more force is applied. Therefore, this exercise increase the blood pressure. So, heart patients are not recommended to perform this exercise. In this isometric exercise, there is less variety of exercise. Therefore, after a few days, the person lose their interest, because there is less variety of activity in isometric exercise. Isotonic exercise. Isotonic exercise, it is introduced by Delaunay in 1954. Isotonic, it is a combination of two words, isotonic. Iso means same, tonic means tension. So, in isotonic exercise, there is a same tension in the muscle. The muscle group has same tensions along with movement. There is movement. The length of the muscle changes, and there is a visible movement. In isotonic exercise, we can see the movement. The length of the muscles change, shorten and lengthen during the workout, like jumping, lifting weight, etc. Isotonic exercise, it is of two types, concentric and eccentric. Concentric means upward movement. In concentric, upward movement like lifting the dumbbell upward. In concentric exercise, there is the flexor muscles shorten and the extension muscle lengthen. Means the size of the flexor muscle becomes short and the size of the extension muscles length. Bicep muscle is known as flexor muscles. Look at the image here. In this is flexor muscle. The length of the flexor muscles becomes short and the extension muscles, the length of the extension muscles become length increase. In eccentric exercise, it is opposite of concentric exercise. In eccentric exercise, it is downward movement. In eccentric exercise, the length of the flexor muscles increase and extension muscles decrease. Means flexor muscles become lengthened and extension muscles become short. Here this flexor muscle, the length of the flexor muscles becomes short and the length of the extension muscles become long. Okay, in opposite, this is concentric and eccentric. Concentric upward movement, eccentric downward movement. Concentric flexor muscle, the length of the flexor muscle becomes short and extension muscles become long. In extensions, it is downward movement. Eccentric, it is a downward movement. Therefore, the length of the flexor muscles become increase and the length of the extensions muscle become decrease, short. Next is advantage. What are the advantages of isotonic exercise? Isotonic exercise, it's help to develop dynamic strength, and in most game dynamic strength are required. Isotonic exercise, it bring hypertrophy of the muscles. The mass of the muscles become there is gain in the muscles gain mass along with thickness. In isotonic exercise, the flexibility of the muscles increase, the flexibility improve, and isotonic exercise, it's help in developing the explosive strength as well as strength endurance. And the disadvantage of isotonic exercise is in the chance of stress and tensions are more if we perform without doing warming up. There is a chance of injury in isotonic exercise, and sometimes the equipment are required in isotonic exercise. Isokinetic exercise. Isokinetic exercise, it is introduced by Perrin in 1968. Isokinetic, it is a combination of two words, iso and kinetic. Iso means same, kinetic means motion. So in isokinetic exercise, there is same motion, there is same movement, along with there is same movement in the muscles. That is, there is continuous tension in both flexor and extension muscles simultaneously. Okay, in isokinetic exercise, there is same tension, there is movement, continuous tension in both flexor and extension muscle. For example, cycling, swimming, etc. The advantage of isokinetic exercise is its help in developing static as well as dynamic strength. This isokinetic exercise, it is useful for every game and sports. This isokinetic exercise helps to improve endurance as well as strength, and improve the all type of strength explosive strength, maximum strength, strength endurance, etc. And the disadvantage, the main disadvantage is special equipment are required to perform isokinetic exercise. And isokinetic exercise, it should be performed under the observation, and the chance of injury is more in isokinetic exercise. These are the three types of methods to improve the strength: isometric exercise, isotonic exercise, and isokinetic exercise. Let's do a quick revision. Isometric, it is introduced by Hittingers and Mullers. Isotonic, it is introduced by Delaunay. And isokinetic, and it is introduced by the Perrin. In isometric, there is no visible movement. The length of the muscles remain the same. Isotonic, there is visible movement. The length of the muscles change. There is tension in the muscle. And isokinetic, there is visible movement. There is same tension in the there is movement, simultaneously movement in both flexor and extension. In isometric, no or less equipment is required. In isotonic, equipment are used, and in isokinetic, special equipment are used. Isometric, there is no type. Isotonic, it is of two type: concentric exercise, eccentric exercise. Concentric exercise, that is upward movement. Examples: lifting the dumbbell upward. Eccentric means downward movement. For examples, lowering the weight downward. And isokinetic, there is no type. In isometric, more pressure, that is maximum pressure, tremendous pressure over the muscle. Isotonic, average pressures. And isokinetic, high pressure over the muscles. Isometric, no change in the length. Isotonic, the length of the muscle change. And in isokinetic also, the length of the muscles change. These are the difference between isometric, isotonic, and isokinetic. Next is endurance and its training methods. Endurance is the ability to sustain a continued activity, means ability to resist fatigue. Endurance means the ability of a person to continue an activity for a long period of time under the condition of fatigue. If the person is able to do the activity for a long period of time, it means he has a good endurance. For examples, endurance is mainly required in game, long distance game like marathon, cycling, etc. Endurance, it is of two types: aerobic endurance and anaerobic endurance. Aerobic endurance, it is also known as short-term endurance or muscular endurance. Anaerobic means in the absence of oxygen. The person has to do the activity in the absence of oxygen. In anaerobic endurance, we have to perform the activity with high speed. Anaerobic endurance, it is of two types: speed endurance and strength endurance. Speed endurance means ability to resist fatigue with high speed. Our speed is more, the intensity is more, and the distance is less. The endurance, it is for short duration, that is for 30 seconds to 60 seconds. For example, swimming, 400-meter running, etc. We have to resist fatigue with high speed. And strength endurance, in this the activity is done forcefully for shorter duration. Strength means power, so um, we have to do the activity is done powerfully, forcefully, for a short duration, that is for approx 2 to 3 minutes. For example, wrestling, boxing, etc. And aerobic endurance. Aerobic means in the presence of oxygen. The person do the activity in the presence of oxygen. In aerobic endurance, the length the duration is more and the speed is less. Okay, in aerobic endurance the activity is done for a long durations, whereas the intensity, the speed is slow. For examples, marathon running, road cycling, long distance running, etc. These are the two types of endurance. Endurance means the ability to do an activity for a long period of time without fatigue. It is of two types, aerobic endurance and aerobic endurance. Aerobic endurance means the person has to do the activity for long period of time and the speed is slow. Anaerobic endurance, anaerobic means in the absence of oxygen. In this anaerobic endurance, the person has to do the activity for short durations and the intensity, the speed is more. There are three methods to develop endurance. That is continuous training methods, interval training methods, and fatigue training method. These are the three methods which help to develop endurance. Continuous training methods. Continuous training methods. In this training methods, the person has to perform the activity for a long period of time without having rest, without having rest in between the workout. Because in continuous training methods, the activity is done for long period of time. The intensity is low. Okay, in continuous training methods, we do the activity for long period of time without having any break in between the workout. Continuous training methods, it is of three types. So it is of three types: slow continuous training methods, fast continuous training methods, and variable continuous training methods. Slow continuous training methods, the exercise is performed in slow continuous training methods. Exercise is done at certain speed, slow speed, without any break for a long duration. The speed is determined according to the heart rate. Okay, in slow continuous training methods, this is basically used in long distance running like cross country, marathon running, etc. In this slow continuous training methods, it is usually the workout is done for approx 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, and distance is 20 distance is 10 to 20 kilometers, and our heart rate is kept around 140 to 170 beats per minute, and our speed is approx 50 to 70% of the maximum activity. Slow continuous training methods, it's help to develop aerobic endurance. Okay, slow continuous training methods help to develop aerobic endurance because in this our speed is slow and the activity is done for a long period of time. Fast continuous training methods. In fast continuous training methods, we do the activity with high speed. It is mainly used in sprint, middle distance running, etc. The workout is done with fast speed and the duration is around 15 to 30 minutes and the distance is 5 to 10 kilometers, and we kept our heart rate around 160 to 200 beats per minute, and the workout is 70 to 90 percent of our maximum ability. Fast continuous training methods helps to um, the intensity of workout is very high for a long duration. Therefore, we should perform proper warming up before doing the activity and cooling down after performing the activity. Last is variable continuous training methods. Variable continuous training methods, it is a combination of slow continuous training methods and fast continuous training methods. In this variable continuous training methods, we keep changing our speed. That is, sometimes we do the activity with maximum speed and sometimes our speed is slow. Variable continuous training methods, we kept the distance around 10 to 15 kilometers and our heart rate is 140 to 200 beats per minute and the speed is 40 to 100% of our ability. In the beginning, our speed, the workout is fast. As the fatigue increase, this workout is slow. Continuous training methods. Let's compare these three three continuous training methods: slow continuous training methods, fast continuous training methods, and variable continuous training methods. Slow continuous training methods, we keep the distance is 10 to 20 kilometers, that is approx 1 to 2 hours. Fast continuous training methods, the distance is 5 to 10 kilometers, and in variable continuous training method, the distance is 10 to 15 kilometers. Heart rate, our heart rate is 140 to 170 beats per minute in slow continuous, and fast our heart rate is 160 to 200, and in variable continuous training methods our heart rate is 140 to 200 beats per minute. Slow continuous training we should practice once in a week because we do the activity for a long period of time. Fast continuous training, we should do the activity for approx twice in a week, and in variable continuous we should perform once or twice in a week. Slow continuous training method, it is good for long distance running. Fast continuous training methods is good for middle distance running, and variable continuous training method, it is good for almost all games and sport. In slow continuous training methods, our fatigue is high, and fast continuous, our fatigue is very high because we do the activity with maximum speed, and in variable continuous, our fatigue is high. This is the difference between the slow, fast, and variable continuous training methods. And continuous training methods means we have to do the activity continuously for a long period of time without any break in between the workout. Next is interval training methods. Interval training methods, this interval training methods helps to develop endurance. In these training methods, we do the exercise with interval, incomplete rest in between the workout. That is, workout rest, workout, rest. We follow the principles of effort and incomplete recovery in between the workout. Okay, this we will discuss in our next video.